Hey y'all, welcome back to Business in Blue. I'm your host, Leia Harper, and if you're anything like me and you love Crosstown, then this episode is just for you. I have the honor of sitting down today with the Director of Marketing and Business Development. Please help me welcome Miss Erin Shelton.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Woo-woo. Okay, so for listeners hearing your story for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into Crosstown?
A little bit about myself, absolutely. So I have been in Memphis for quite a while. I moved here when I was 10 years old. I definitely consider Memphis home. I was born in Clarksville, Tennessee. Yeah. It's still Tennessee, and only a few hours away. But yeah, I've been here. Graduated from UofM. Mm-hmm. I have a degree in theater performance. Okay. Not marketing, right? Yeah. Which that is an interesting story in and of itself that we probably don't even have enough time today for me to tell you.
We can touch on that because I feel like that's a good point.
Well, I'll tell you the short version of it is I started out my college career pre-med. And then spring of my freshman year, I had a very unexpected tragic death with a family member. And it just made me go, wait a minute. Like, life is short, and she didn't know she was going to die that day. And if you want to try something, you need to do it because tomorrow is not guaranteed.
It's not promised,
and so I had always been really fascinated with movies and things like that. And after telling my dad and almost giving him a heart attack that I was changing my career path, I was going to move to LA and become an actress, and he very stealthily convinced me to go to school for acting instead. And so since we were here, I transferred. I was at Drury College before and transferred to U of M into the theater department. And I remember sitting down with Josie Helming, the chair of the acting department at the time, because I had no acting experience whatsoever. And she looked at me and went, "What are you doing here?"
Right.
And I told her about what happened. And I said, I mean, if I'm going to try it, I have to try it. It might not be the answer in the end, but now is the time, right? And she goes, "Okay, you're in." Yeah. So I got out of school, a theater major, and
went into the business world, marketing world somehow.
My theater degree, where it connects with marketing, because believe me, I've had early job interviews where like, theater degree, and I'm like,
yeah, when you started off, I wasn't expecting theater.
Right? Well, come and take a tour, and by the time you're done, I always throw it in there. About
the theatrics are still
there. 3/4 of the way through my tour, I'm like, if you haven't figured it out by now, I was a theater major in school, and everybody laughs and nods. But it is, I mean, you think about theater, it's character study. What are we doing in marketing? We're understanding consumers, understanding our audience, right? So it's character study, it's story building. It just
100%
weaves together really well. So yeah, my theater degree, 100%.
It connects more now that you're explaining it to me. So
It's probably why I ended up really in brand marketing and then on into this side of it, where the marketing arm of my job at Concourse is just, you name it, absolutely everything. If it falls under the marketing realm, it falls under me. And business development. But a lot of what I do for business development is I talk about this place that I very much believe in case that hasn't come across.
Number one advocate.
Miss Erin. And I talk about it, and I just firmly believe if I can tell you what is here within these walls, you will believe too. You will be more proud of what we have in the city, and you will be inspired by the people that are trying to do good in this city, and they are creating, and they are making a positive impact, and they are building up our youth and training our business talent and taking care of the sick, and they just do everything good. I could talk about it forever.
Yes, and that's why we love Crosstown.
Yep.
That's why we love it.
Absolutely.
So for our viewers who may not know what Crosstown Concourse is, could you tell us in your own words what Crosstown is.
Absolutely. How long you got?
Oh, I got all day.
You got all day.
And also how it was introduced to our city, because I know
Absolutely.
it hasn't been here. The
So
whole time,
Crosstown Concourse, we call it our city's vertical urban village. And it is essentially a mixed-use development that has retail, performance spaces, art spaces. It has commercial tenants there, and it has 265 apartments as well. So
everything you can think of.
Everything you could think of. Over 500 people live
Wow.
in Crosstown Concourse.
You know, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where are the apartments?
They're on the top 4 floors. It's called parcels at Concourse because what it was originally developed as is Sears Crosstown Distribution Center. So that was finished. The first phase of it was finished in 1927. And the reason they put it where it is at the time, it was the border edges of Memphis. So back then, the city was essentially bordered by the parkways, east, north, south parkway, and the river. And so it was kind of the middle of nowhere. There wasn't a whole lot around there. But Memphis, since the beginning, really has been such a key distribution city, right?
With
logistics is our
trains and all of
thing.
that stuff,
Yeah. And the Louisville-Nashville Railroad ran right up to that spot. In fact, when they finished the building, it literally ran straight to the building. They would offload things and onload things. But they built out from 1927, the first phase was finished, and then the mid-60s was in the last portion of it was finished, and it was 1.5 million square feet. 2 bottom floors were retail store, and then all the top floors were all of the distribution center.
Area.
Yeah, it had big package chutes in there that you go and you place your order. You are probably too young to know much about this,
Way
but
too young.
yeah, there was something that a lot of us older folks remember called the Sears Wish Book. And so
I know about Sears.
Yeah, Sears is not that. Yeah, they're still around. I had to look it up. There's 5 locations left
the world.
in the world, and a little bit of online, but otherwise they're closed for the most part. But before there was an Amazon, you would get your Sears catalog, the Wish Book, and it actually revolutionized the way that commerce happened in the United States, because at the time there wasn't really, and Sears was also founded in 1886. That's an interesting coincidence, Hunter Fan Company and Sears. But at the time, if you lived in a city, you had resources to get things that you needed. If you lived in a smaller town, you might have the general store. And if you lived on a chicken farm in the middle of Texas, it's a 3-day ride to be able to go get anything you need. And so the guy who founded Sears, he came up with this idea of creating this catalog. And it was massive. I mean, there's one point.
In the catalog, just things that you would want to, if I was going to go shop on
everything
Amazon,
you could ever want to purchase, you could buy
on paper.
Yes, absolutely. You could buy from Sears. I always, when I give tours at the concourse, I always say you could buy anything from pants to puppies. You could buy houses. You could buy lawn equipment. You could buy
everything.
Absolutely anything you could want or need. And so by them creating this catalog, and it was an expense because a 500-page catalog, and you're shipping out millions of them every single year to potential customers around the country. But it was worth it, because what ended up happening is that chicken farmer in the middle of Texas said, oh, well, now I can buy things. And so they'd mail in their order, or they'd call in their order if they had a phone on the chicken farm,
Hopefully.
And hopefully, I don't know, maybe not back then, but they would send in their order, and all of a sudden they have the world is their oyster, because I think up
things
until
that you couldn't get, now you can get.
You can get them. And back into I think up to the 70s, Sears, from a revenue perspective, was by far the largest retailer in the world, and they were larger than Amazon is today. So they were the juggernaut. Amazon's the juggernaut now, but they were. And so they opened up 10 distribution centers around the country, all around the same time period, in order to facilitate all of that. And it thrived. They were the largest employer in Memphis for a while. And they were thriving for a long time. And then times change and competition comes up and their revenue model's just not sustainable anymore. And so they start closing places, and they closed the retail store in 1983 and they closed the distribution center in 1993. And for Memphis, the impact was, when they first built this distribution center in the middle of nowhere, it was a boom for the economy. Because not only do you have all these jobs and these places where people could come in and shop, but the surrounding Crosstown neighborhood didn't have anything. And all of a sudden you've got movie theater popping up and restaurants and other businesses. And that's where that neighborhood really grew. And then when the building closed in 1993, it sat empty for 20 years. And by the end of that time, every single business down the Cleveland corridor was boarded up, except for maybe, I think, one or two. But there was nothing there. And so it had that negative impact on Memphis, especially with an area of town where you are really, that's the bridge almost between downtown and midtown.
Yeah.
And you've got this gap where there's blight and empty buildings, and so it has an overall negative impact. But it was purchased by a businessman, I think in 2007, and he had planned on actually donating it to a local college, and it just didn't work out. And then the recession happened in 2008, and he's sitting there going, what do I do with this giant 1.5 million square foot building?
What are we going to do here?
Yeah. And they had, I joke, I call them two crazy people. No, two artists. My boss, Todd Richardson, who's the CEO, who is an art history professor at the University of Memphis.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
I love
Connections all around.
It always comes back to the UofM.
Always.
Like, this is where greatness is, yeah.
Absolutely. But he was a professor of art history here, and then he was partnered with another gentleman named Chris Miner, who's an artist. And they said, we got to do something with this building. It's incredible. It can't just be torn down. It would cost $10 million to tear it down alone. So hugely expensive just to raise it to the ground.
It's expensive either way we go.
Yeah.
So let's just put something.
Let's do something with it. And they did a feasibility study and looked at models from Europe and other places around the country and said, I think that we can create something that will really thrive, that will celebrate what is so critical in Memphis, or not critical, I would say fundamental to Memphis, which is the community connection. So many people talk about they move here and then the community side of Memphis, those human connections is very evident and unique for here versus other cities. And so and then to showcase the arts, the music, so much that we have to offer, and just all in one place. And
that's exactly what Crosstown is.
It is. It is kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah. Is that how you would describe the experience of someone who's like never been to Crosstown before?
Absolutely. It is, it's kind of awe-inspiring. You walk in and you step into the central atrium, and it's 10 stories with this large light well, because they weren't there before. They actually had to cut out 3 miles of concrete. It was all solid floors. So they created all these atria so that they could get light and vibrancy into the building, make it feel alive and thriving, and like a
that way. Y'all did
village.
Great.
Yeah.
Y'all did great.
Yeah. And so they create this atria, and you walk in and just look up, and it's such an incredible architectural feat. It's beautiful from a design and structure perspective, and you're surrounded by all the things that you might be surrounded by in a town hall. There's a popcorn shop, there's the coffee shop, there's a grocery and deli, there's restaurants, and there's performance spaces. And so there's just so much that you can do there. There's over 70 tenants. Over half of them are nonprofits. and places that you wouldn't expect to be a nonprofit. Lucy J's Bakery is a nonprofit in the building. But yeah, so you can, as far as concourse goes, you can go in there and you can have
businesses, activities,
absolutely organizations,
everything under the sun.
Yeah, Crosstown Arts is one of our other anchor tenants, and we call them the fun of Crosstown. Everybody's fun. Everybody's
what all
fun.
Do they like? What's their area?
So Crosstown Arts was actually developed.
Is that like the theater?
It is.
Okay.
It is that and more. So Crosstown Arts was developed by Todd and by Chris Miner, and it was originally an organization. They are a cultural arts center, contemporary cultural arts center, and it was developed to help people who are looking for resources to create their art and get it out to the public. It was also developed to help make Crosstown Concourse come to life. So they were the original developers. They helped raise community awareness. They helped raise funds. It was a between $210 and $220 million project.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big project. And
is that where we get things like, I know sometimes I've seen like a jazz band or like,
yes,
I think it's like free movies on one day. It's
they
like
do. They do. So yeah, that's why we call them the fun of Crosstown. So they have multiple parts. They have the performance venues, which are the Crosstown Arts Theater and the Green Room, one of the best places, and I would say it's the best place in Memphis, of course, to see music. This small venue with these lush green velvet curtains draped around all around the walls, and you can go in there. And it is Jazz Month right now, so you mentioned jazz. It's it's Jazz Awareness Month.
I think one of my favorite spots is the listening lab.
Yes,
I love the listening lab. And it's so like aesthetic in there too. With,
it's so cool.
And, like, they even have like a podcast set up. Like my friends and I, we used to go play around when we were in high school. And we would go up there.
So we're a vertical urban village, and we call the Memphis Listening Lab our library.
Yes. It gives that vibe. 100%.
Yeah, it's got a collection of over 50,000 albums. And these were all donated by a man named John King, who created Ardent Records.
These were all of his? Those were all of his?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he had quite the collection. He created Ardent Records with a high school chum of his you may have heard of by the name of Fred Smith.
Okay.
So everybody, Fred Smith, FedEx. Yeah, right. But he had also said he was going to start a radio station, which didn't happen. I don't know why it didn't happen.
I was just about to ask, is that connected to the one on the first floor?
We love to collaborate. They are separate organizations, but we do a lot of connection and collaboration. But WYXR, which is the nonprofit radio station there, is a separate organization. But so John King got all of these albums because he was going to start a radio station, but he didn't. But the record companies, they kept sending him sample albums. And so he had just an insane number, and really like from the 70s and earlier, just collections of albums that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And he wanted to donate it and do something with it the public could benefit from. And so they created this concept of the Memphis Listening Lab. And the inside of it is just amazing. The sound was, the sound room, the acoustics were designed by a man named Jim Thompson, who is the president of Eggleston Works Speakers. So another thing in Memphis, like there's so many things in Memphis to be proud of. Eggleston Works Speakers. Have you heard of Beyonce?
Of course.
I know.
Of course.
But
the queen.
So her last album, they used these speakers to engineer.
Really?
Yes. And many other musicians, famous musicians you've heard of. But these are high-end, highest quality speakers you can get, and they're made right here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Fun fact.
Eggleston Work Speakers. There's, again, like I said, so many fun things and amazing things to be proud of what we've got.
I wouldn't have known that.
There's so much. My tour, if you want a tour, come on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask,
how
do you market a space like Crosstown when you have so many different business ventures within one space?
So it is a big challenge because there is so much happening. I tell you, my main goals are to raise awareness about Crosstown Concourse, because there's still a lot of Memphians that haven't been there. And, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of Memphians and people in the surrounding area that aren't even aware of what it is.
I recognize, like, I would see the red stairs on Instagram, like, in middle school, but I didn't actually visit until my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So that's like 18 years of not knowing about Crosstown.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who they just don't know what a gem that they have in this city. But, raising awareness and getting more people in the building, those are my main goals. And there's so much there that there's a lot of ways to do that. We market all of the events that happen, and that's all of these events that Crosstown Arts arranges, music performances.
Like the Christmas, I was there for the Christmas lighting.
Season of Delight.
It was so, like...
It's
my
so
heart
cool.
was like, oh my goodness. Like,
There's that was moment.
So beautiful.
You're surrounded by the Memphis Symphony Orchestra.
Yes, and everybody,
all
it was
around
packed out too.
Yeah.
Like, we're standing shoulder to shoulder. But, like, I didn't even mind. Normally, I'm like I need my personal space kind of person. But in that moment, I just was like.
It is worth it. It's beautiful. So worth it, right? The Zathura. I was like, the guys are gonna kill me if I can't remember the name of the song. But I think that I'm 99% sure that that's the name of the song. And then you hear this boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and the lights come on, and it's incredible. But it's one of many free events that we offer. We call them our Better Together events. And that comes from our slogan for Crosstown Concourse is life is lived better together.
Yeah.
And so Better Together events are free public events that we put on throughout the year.
Do y'all have one in the summertime?
Oh, we have plenty, yeah.
Okay.
So the next one coming up is on May 9th. That's Puppy Palooza. So if you are a dog person.
Like, will y'all have puppies? Or like,
there'll be dogs everywhere. So there's a doggy costume contest. There's all kinds of things. There's free Mem Pups. It's the doggy version of a Mem Pop.
Right.
Mem Pops is in the building. And just a bunch of fun and games there, and it's very family friendly. But we have a lot of those free events because it helps serve our purpose as a nonprofit, which is to create space and opportunities for the Memphis community to come together. But that's the goal, is to create occasions where Memphis can come together and anytime that we can do something that really celebrates artists and entrepreneurs and small businesses, that's really our goal. I mean, all of the retail businesses in Concourse are either local small businesses or they were first market. So French Truck Coffee is there, but they're still very small and regional. They're out of New Orleans. And there's just now there's I think 3. Great. Yeah, their coffee's really good. There's 3, I think, in the city, but ours was the first one. They also roast the beans there for all of the locations in the city. So anytime that we can really do something that celebrates local, gives entrepreneurs opportunity, and we really, it's a community effort. I'm constantly having conversations with tenants about how we're going to work with them to promote their business, and it's really more of a partnership than you will find at any other retail center anywhere. So.
When you say tenants, I thought back to you telling me how people stay up. You said on the 10th floor?
The top 4 floors.
Top 4 floors.
Yes.
I wonder what it's like to live up there.
Well, you can get a little glimpse of it. There are 3 Airbnb apartments in there. Pettigrew Adventures has 3 apartments in there, so you can go stay for a night and see what it's like to be there. But we've got people that have lived there from the beginning.
Wow.
They love it. They love the convenience of it. They love the community
if you're bored
of
on
it.
a Saturday, let me just go downstairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what they're doing.
Absolutely. Wander down, go catch a show, go catch a movie, go stroll through the galleries, or go listen to some vinyl in the listening lab. Go eat at one of the restaurants.
You can have a full day of of dilly-dallying, is
Absolutely.
what I like to say.
Absolutely.
You can have a full day of dilly-dallying.
You can, absolutely.
Well, before we go, where can we find you all on social media? And if people want to go visit, which y'all probably should after this episode, where can we find you all in the city?
Well, so go to crosstownconcourse.com, of course, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, mostly, LinkedIn, of course. But we are at the corner of North Parkway and Watkins, right where Cleveland and Watkins merge.
Yeah.
We are just minutes from downtown. I can see St. Jude from the top balconies of the building. But yeah, come and see us.
Yeah, it's hard to miss them, guys. It's a very big building, and you'll see lots of people. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And to our listeners, I hope that you guys learned more about Crosstown Concourse, and I hope to see you there soon. This has been Business in Blue, all things business, all things Memphis. Bye.